What's up, nerds? I hope you're ready for a tutorial because that's what this video is. So I have done 2 skin tone tutorials already. Skintonetorials. Hashtag that shit. Okay, so I did one that was basically like, this is a really easy way to do it for like quickie stuff or for sketches. So check out that video. Then I did a 3 color process skin tone tutorial, which is like a really academic way to do it. And now I'm going to show you how I do skin tone in a tutorial. So the deal is that this is just like an evolving thing. This is how I'm painting skin tone today. And it's not necessarily the same way I've done it in the past, and I'm gonna guess in the future I'll probably be doing something slightly different. Kind of, I'll be working with a certain set of colors, and then I'll come across a new one. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's part of my palette for a while, and then I might replace it, or, maybe I'm like feeling it, and then maybe, I don't know. It kind of changes, and that's kind of the way art in the creative process works. And I feel like if you're evolving as an artist, like your art process and the way you're doing stuff will too. So this is what I'm doing right now. There's a zillion different ways to do skin tones. I'm not even saying that this is the correct one. And also, I'll just preface this whole thing. I prefer really saturated skin tones, and I really like warm colors. You will be able to tell that. So this might not be the most realistic skin tone, but I think that it's an attractive skin tone. So so we'll just go and I'll edit in the speed paint footage starting now. Alright, so here we go. So I'm starting out with some quinacridone burnt orange, just getting kind of a base, just putting some color down. So I chose this painting to do for this tutorial because it has 2 figures on it and they both have different skin tones. And then also it's not a portrait, it's more of like a figurative piece. So it's something that I feel like the skin tone is more of a focal point of it. So I thought that this would be a really good way to kind of talk about it without getting like hung up on portraiture, which is like its own can of worms. So started with that quinacridone burnt orange. It's a color that I go to a lot because it's kind of like, it's like a brown, but better, kind of, like it's a little bit more, it's got just more to it. It's a little less neutral. So right here you're going to see quinacridone red and a transparent Pyrrole orange. So those 2 together actually can make a really nice primary red, and then you thin that out with enough water and you get that like Caucasian white people light colored skin. And so both of these kind of have a base because, we're doing watercolor, so we're working light to dark. So now I'm going with some quinacridone gold and just adding some warmer tones in here. And like I said before, I do kind of emphasize on these kind of yellowy, or maybe not so much yellow, more like oranges and reds is like what I think is really beautiful in skin. And when you think of like when people look alive, it's because they have a lot of warmth in their skin tone. That's something that I've thought about as if you're painting someone like the figure on the bottom, who's actually my brother, he's got really pale skin, so there's like a lot of like bluish tones in there, and you want to grab that, but if you do too much, they start looking like dead or bruised or something. So, it's all like a balancing act. So you can see here I'm going in, I'm using the same colors for both of the figures. And the reason being is that, well, part of it's just like, well, this is the colors that I use, but also because it's like, it needs to be a cohesive piece. So it's all the same colors, it's just in different ratios. I'm going to use more Quin burnt orange on Krista on the top than on my brother. And then I'm probably going to end up using a little bit more blue on my brother than on Krista. So I'm just going in, doubling down on that Quin burnt orange. Kind of, now I'm building up the value. So you'll see, I'll put down colors and then I'll kind of fan it out or like blend it out or soften it with water. That's one of those things that I'm wondering if that's a bad habit, but I'm not real sure. And like, is it a bad habit or is it not? Like, if it's just the way I paint, it's the way I paint. But it's something that I need to explore, kind of like, could I make better work without doing that? Okay, you see here, I'm putting the blue in. And sometimes you do need to add some blue to kind of calm down the skin tone. But you can see here, like, if I were to stop there, that just looks unpleasant. And sometimes when people do like a 3-color thing and they're like less experienced, you get like that weird blue vibe. Anyways, yeah, back to building value. Adding more details in there. This is on Arches 300-pound cold pressed paper, torn down to be, I think it's like 10.5 by 10.5 inches. Arches being the paper that I use because it's the best. I mean, arguably, honestly, I haven't tried that much, like, you know, because paper is really expensive. Like, maybe I should try different brands, but people seem to agree that Arches is kind of top of the line, and it really is. When I use kind of a lesser paper, I don't know, you can tell, I struggle with it. Okay, so here I'm using quinacridone violet. And so I feel like quinacridone violet is like a really nice answer to the quinacridone burnt orange. They just make a beautiful color together, and then it can get a little too orangey, so you neutralize it with a little bit of blue. So that's why in my 3-color process one, like tutorial I did before, I wasn't using ultramarine blue because it granulated so much. And so when you were painting a black person's skin tone, the blue would granulate so much. It was too much texture. It was too unpredictable. It just didn't look right, which is why I use the Undertone blue, which I actually don't care for as much. But in this one, I can get darker tones using the purple, and I'm only using enough blue to kind of balance it out, so I get a pleasant amount of granulation and not like a freakish reptilian, like, weird look. So I end up getting a lot of the cools from that Quin Violet, which doesn't granulate. So it's like I want enough. Like, I do like granulating colors, but kind of sparingly so. And I'll probably look around and see a blue that I'm super happy with. The Undertone blue wasn't quite as happy. But yeah, so that's how I get my darks when I'm painting any of the shadowy tones in flesh tone. So we're looking at the Quin Violet, the Quin Orange, and Ultramarine Blue. Yeah, I think we were talking about paper earlier. I don't know. Totally lost my train of thought there. But yeah, that's the kind of paper I like. I think what I was saying about it is that when you use cheaper paper, it makes arting harder, which really sucks, because like beginners, of course, it's like, oh, I want to just, you know, try to save some money, I'm just starting, which is like, yeah, I totally get it, but I don't know, that like that Canson XL paper, I found it extremely hard to work with, and this Arches 300-pound is great. Even the 140-pound paper, which is kind of the standard one that everyone uses, I found it to be a little bit harder to use, but it's cheaper. But the way that, and you'll see I'm like layering and doing a whole bunch of washes on this. If I were to have done this on 140-pound paper, especially in the darker areas, the paper would start degrading on me and start giving out. So this is just, it's a little bit more forgiving, and it like dries a little faster, which I really enjoy, not having to wait as long. So that's my thoughts on paper. It just kind of sucks. I realize, I guess I have expensive taste, because it's like, there was like some artist like FAQ thing, and it was like, what are your favorite supplies? And like everything I listed was like, oh damn, it's expensive. But yeah, I'll do a video about like how to save money, because you can use your supplies strategically so you're getting the most out of them. Alright, back to painting. So I've just added more details. I'm just building values. So, you know, in an ideal world, I'd have a step-by-step to do this, like tutorial. It's like first step, this and that and this and that. And then you'll have a finished one. But the deal is that everything's just kind of different. And like, I don't know, it's almost like you paint enough, you get kind of in a mode of like, you've painted enough portraits where you're like, okay, this seems to work well for me. And then you can get kind of intuitive with it. And you can start seeing colors and balancing them. But generally that first step, I started kind of with the reddish tone for both of these figures. So with her, I did the Quin burnt orange. And with him, I did the two, that Quin red and transparent Pyrrole orange. So those were kind of like the red version of the flesh tone and the lightest version as well. And then I started building values. Yeah, from there my steps are totally screwed. But what I end up doing is it's like, then I switch like build value mode, and then it switches back and forth between, okay, I'm building values and now I'm neutralizing color, balancing it out, or adding new color in. Yeah, it's kind of, I think that it's kind of why it's difficult sometimes to find art tutorials that are like really explicit on how to like paint like portraits and figure stuff, because you know, you just kind of like, you get a feel for it after you've done it enough, and it's something that you kind of have to do, which really sucks because I don't have a lot of patience for like really vague teaching. So I really hate that it's like, you just got to do it, but you kind of do. And, you know, this is trial and error, and there are some things that I'm kind of, you know, thinking about right now. It's like, well, this might be something I should try working on, or trying and doing different methods and stuff. So it'll always be an evolving thing. Okay, so now I'm working on the hair. So this is where I'm going to start straying from the colors that I use on all of this. I think that still is a darker mixture, or like the same colors. It looks the same. I think I'm using, I don't know, one of my redder browns. I usually will do like a lighter and redder color underneath the hair. So then when I put a darker, cooler color on top, that can peek out. And then for the shadow, I'm using Quin Violet and Cobalt Teal. Or wait, let me make sure it's Cobalt Teal. Let's see. Yeah, Cobalt Teal, one of my favorites. Super granulating and a super funky color. It's like crazy cool. So yeah, now I'm putting the darker tones in the hair, which are going to play nicely against those warm tones that I put in there. So even though her hair is black, it's got actually, I'm not using like a carbon black or an ivory black. I'm using my blue, my purple, and maybe Van Dyke brown. Or you could use Quin burnt orange. You could still use that. That together will get you a really dark color. So yeah, so now it's just kind of adding details and fixing things. So it's like you kind of start at the end, you know, you're kind of pulling your painting together. You're going to start working on the clothes and stuff, and then you're kind of like, well, is this balancing out? Is this looking correct? You can only get so far. Like, I don't think I could do the skin tone start to finish and then do the hair and then do the clothes. Like, I kind of need to have all the parts in place, and then I can go back in and kind of make them nicer and nicer. So you'll see that weird brush. It's like, it's sped up so you can't hardly see it. That's my lifting brush. And I know that people talk about core being pretty staining. And like when I do lifting, it's usually to neaten up some edges. And it's not completely lifting out, but it's like enough to kind of fix some kind of sloppiness. So you can do some lifting. So the pants are Payne's Gray, Quin burnt orange, and Quin violet. So I actually use a pretty limited palette. Of course, like it's like I want all the colors, but I actually don't use all of them by any means. So this is the Quin violet and the Cobalt Teal, and together they make just funky colors. And I wanted the shirts to be really cool in color because there is so much orange in both of the flesh tones, and they're so lovely and vibrant and like warm and alive that I thought it would play really nicely against these cool shirts. I did keep their shorts more of a kind kind of a violet. I kind of think about it maybe like being it's like a dark, kind of warmer black, kind of a dark purple. I kind of think of it as like the bridge between the coolness of the shirt and the like extreme warmth of the skin. So yeah, now I've moved on to painting the fabrics of the shirts. So yeah, working on that. Yeah, using the cobalt teal in like a whole bunch of stuff, that's kind of a newer thing for me. It just gives you such weird results, and it's just cool, and it looks really fresh. That's a color I would have never thought to buy, but I got it in the high chroma set, and that set, man, I got it. I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't buy it, but it looks so much fun. I don't know how much use it'll be. I don't know how practical. I use that set like crazy. Like, two of the colors, my Quin Gold and the Quin Gold and the transparent Pyrrole Orange and the Cobalt Teal. Those three are used in this one. So I'm using 3 of, I think, the 6 colors in that set just in this painting. And I use, I use Quin Red in this, but you could easily use the Quin Magenta that comes in that set. I just like the Quin Red because it looks more pink. I like pink. But I think I would get pretty similar results with the Quin Magenta. So I'm just adding details, getting my values in the shirt. It just, man, when you can like get nice colors together, like you get the kind of the juiciness of that transparent Pyrrole Orange, and then you get that Cobalt Teal, and they're kind of playing off each other, it just makes both colors look so fresh. I'm really happy with that. I really debated doing more colorful clothes on them. But then I was like, well, if it's a skin tone tutorial, which that just like really, it's a lot of T sounds to say. But anyways, yeah, it just looks nice. And I realized, like, I don't know, I'm not like a hugely colorful, like I'm not gonna have like real crazy color schemes in my stuff, and that's fine. It's just frustrating because I love all the colors. I love all the art stuff. You know, it's like, it's hard to choose what you're going to incorporate in your work when all of it's so cool. Alright, so I'm finishing up here, just adding a few more details. So all the colors I use, I'll have listed out below in the description so you can check them out on your own. Alright, well that is the tutorial. So this is just the way I do things. If this doesn't make sense for what you like to do or what you're trying to do, then, you know, just like ditch it, man. This is kind of, the art thing is kind of just like, you end up being like, you know when they like make you clean up Play-Doh when you're a kid and you like mash it on the table and it picks up all the little Play-Doh crumbs? That's like the art thing where you're just like mashing yourself all over like books and YouTube and art teachers, and you're just picking up little like Play-Doh crumbs of wisdom. So, you know, hopefully you got a little Play-Doh crumb from this video. Anyways, if you want to see this image where it's nice and color corrected and stuff, it'll be on my blog, which I've linked below. And then if you're just like, oh my god, that painting, it just moves me, I have to have it, it's listed in my Etsy shop along with other lovely works of art that could go in your home. But yeah, if you don't have any money but you got a finger or whatever, you can click that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up. And yeah, I will see y'all in my next video. Oh, also, I hit 200 subscribers this week, which is exciting. My brother tweeted at me when I posted about it. He was like, oh, did mom sign up for 200 accounts? And it's like, y'all aren't all my mom. I know you can't all be, because one of these accounts is my own account. So how about that? How about that, brother? Okay. Anyways, I'll see y'all later in my next video. Bye!